Something that I don't think enough people consider when they're selecting a firearm for defense is, does it have a simple feature set? What I mean by a simple feature set? Well, simply, does it have as few bells and whistles as possible in order to accomplish its job? So this is my pistol. It is a CZ75BD. I consider this to be a firearm with a very simple feature set, even though it is, yes, both a single and double action trigger mechanism design. Now, due to that, you might be inclined to think that it's complicated, but it, in truth, really isn't. Obviously, here you have your magazine release, you get your slide stop and slide release right here, and then you get your trigger. And those are all three elements you'll find on basically any semi-automatic pistol. But back here, you also have an exposed hammer and a decocking lever. Now, those are elements you may not find in every gun, but they're still pretty intuitive and easy to understand. I mean, hammer, we've all seen the cowboy movies. Cock that sucker back, look where the hammer and the trigger have gone. And decocking lever, it's right there in the name. You run that thing, now you've decocked the action safely without setting off a round into a different mode. Single to double action. I'll actually demonstrate single and double action using this dummy round here. Take note, by the way, before I load that round into the chamber, take note of where the trigger and the hammer are. They're forward. Now, I'll chamber that round, and of course, now we have that round chambered, that dummy round. Look, we're in single action now. The hammer is back and the trigger is back. Single action, you get a light, crisp, basically a hair trigger, and the trigger will perform the single action of releasing the hammer. However, if I had not intended to fire the gun, and I instead wanted to holster it, I would have run the decocking lever, and now you have a heavy, long, deliberate double action trigger press. Now the trigger will perform two actions. First, cocking, and then releasing the hammer. That is a stout trigger, by the way. That is very deliberate. It is a safety in and of itself. However, there's no safety on. The trigger still performs the single action of firing the gun. Whether or not it's a long, heavy pull or a light, crisp pull, that's all the trigger does. That's predictability. The hammer, all it ever does is, if you're actually going to, thumb it, is cock it into single action. The decocking lever only performs the single action of decocking the gun. That's predictability. All of those are those are single functions for all of these elements. Very predictable feature set. So this is inherently a simple feature set firearm because everything about it is simple, efficient, and predictable. What you want from a defensive gun is predictability. You want something that is always going to do what you expect it to do when you want it to do it. And that's what this gun delivers.